Welcome to Datu's Corner. I'm your host, Datu Tim. Today's topic, what is a Datu in Modern Arnis and who are they? But before we start, please subscribe to our channel, like the videos, and make sure you hit that bell in the corner to get any notifications on any new videos. And now it's time for Datu's Corner. Okay, so Modern Arnis Datus, this topic is controversial. I don't see why it should be. That's the thing. But it is. So Professor Praces, the late Professor Remy Amador Praces, who not only created Modern Arnis, but was a goodwill ambassador for the Philippines with diplomatic papers, sponsored by the government to travel the world and share its martial culture with the world. He decided to adopt the term Datu into his hierarchy of his martial system. So Datu, by definition, was the chief or leader of the tribe. Professor only gave it out a handful of times. Actually, only 6. And of those 6, only 2 were Pinoy. So in chronological order, we have Shashir Nakalo, Kelly Warden, Bong Hernelles, the late David Hoffman, Dieter Knuddel, and myself, Tim Hartman. There's been topics brought up on the internet, a bunch of flame wars are for the last 2 decades, off and on, about the title. Time and time again on the internet, people have been saying that it is a Muslim title specifically, which I have not been able to find any evidence. Yes, it's true that Filipinos were Muslim mostly at one time, and now there's a lot of Christianity there. And in certain cultures, the word Datu is the term for a prince. You had to be part of the royal family or knighted. But as far as I can tell, based on the research I've been doing, that is not the case in Filipino culture. So when I talk about Datu, it's specifically how it addresses towards Filipino culture and in Modern Arnis. I trust that my teacher knew what he was doing. I don't think he would disrespect his own culture. I mean, the thing that is crazy about this is that he was upset that more Filipinos didn't show interest in the Filipino culture, their martial culture. In the Philippines, Filipino martial arts is the minority. Now it's a little different because Arnis, specifically by name, has been acknowledged as the national sport of the Philippines. So a lot of people practice Arnis, but in the school systems, they're focusing more on the sport aspect and less on the combatives. But at the time when Professor started promoting Modern Arnis as the name, karate and judo and arts like that were more popular. It was on the verge of extinction. And he was it's still, up until the time he passed away, he would be upset when he found not only Filipinos, but when Asians as a whole weren't embracing their own Asian culture. So, and Professor, he wasn't racist. He loved all of his students equally based on who they were. It was sad for him that, a lot of Filipinos didn't even know that they had a rich martial culture. So, but I digress. But this was Professor Praces, the founder of the art, an ambassador to the Philippines, a goodwill ambassador to the Philippines, with diplomatic papers, sponsored by the government. So I think he knew what he was doing when he was using these terms. Now, recently it's come up and they said they don't like people who are self-anointing themselves the title of Datu. I couldn't agree with you more. The 6 of us were all handpicked by Professor. We didn't self-award ourselves. It all came from the professor, the grand master, the head of the system. Now, there is a group in the States that is issuing the title of Datu as per the way it pertains to Modern Arnis. I am not down with that. I don't acknowledge any of those promotions. They had access to the living Datus. They could have asked for our support to help do this. Allegedly, this was to continue on Professor's dream, but so he wanted allegedly 10 Datus, but it made no sense because all of those people were students with Professor before I even started. And if he wanted them to be Datus, he would have made them Datus. And the funny thing that people forget, a bunch of those people quit and left Modern Arnis and even tried to compete with Remy. So when you're talking about this, I agree with you 100%. You know, we've got a person who's never been a Datu, who hasn't asked for support of the Datus. And if anyone wanted to make more Datus in Modern Arnis, it should have been the 6 of us. The 6 of us have not powwowed together about bringing more people on board. In my personal opinion, at this time, and I may change my opinion in the future, I don't plan on handing out the term, using the term Datu. The 6 of us were hand chosen by Remy. In my personal opinion, if we add more to that, it dilutes what he did, because let's say we decided to make someone a Datu. Now you can no longer say that the Datus were all hand chosen by Professor. You know, there was 6 Datus, 7 Masters of Tappy Tappy, 1 Senior Master, and 2 Punangurus. All of which were hand done by Professor. Now, I use Punanguro for our master level students, which is 5th degree and higher. But Professor and I was the first that Professor used the term Punanguro with. As he explained it to me, as soon as I had my first student who was a teacher level, a guru himself, that put me up to Punanguro. And somebody else verified that in other systems. So with that context, the Punanguros, in my organization after his passing, I've made that at the master level thing. But while he was alive, there was only 2 of us. Marlena Hafano was the second one. I was the first one. Marlena was the second. And that's it. So it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. Punanguro was a Filipino martial title that was being utilized. And based on how Remy explained it to me, I felt it was okay. But I received Punanguro. I didn't self-appoint myself. Professor introduced me to people as Punanguro Tim. So once again, if we're talking self-appointing, I got your back. If you're talking about a board that has no people who ever received the title, I agree with you once again, 100%. But when it comes to the Modern Arnis people, the 6 Datus, we were all promoted by Professor. And we used that title to show respect of our late teacher. It is not by any stretch of the imagination an attempt to disrespect the Filipino culture or disrespect any religious culture, because that's not what we're about. I want to believe, I have to believe, that my teacher knew what he was doing. And as I talk to many Filipinos about this, time and time again, I get the same thing. It's the chief of the tribe. And I ask him point blank, well, Professor promoted me to Datu. What do you feel about that? Now, unless they're lying to my face, and if you're saying that all the Filipinos I'm talking to, they say, well, they're too nice to tell you the truth, what you mean to say is they're all liars. I don't believe that. I believe that they had a problem They would tell me, at least the people that I hang with, that's how we roll. So now I understand that some of the people now weren't old enough to be able to talk to Professor. But Professor was doing this for 20 years, the last 20 years of his life. He was giving out this title 6 times. Okay? If anyone had a problem, why didn't they talk to him while he was alive? Why did they wait until after he was dead to talk smack? Maybe because they had no backbone. Maybe because they were cowards. Maybe they wanted to take shots at Professor, but they couldn't figure out a way to do it and get away with it while he was still alive. I don't know. You all need to be the judge on that. But I am Datu Tim Hartman, the last promoted by the late Grandmaster Remy Amador Praces. One of 5 that are still alive. Will I hand this down? I can't see myself doing that. Will I represent this title that he issued to me? I've been doing it for decades. I travel the world teaching martial arts, spreading Filipino martial culture around places. I've even taught in the Philippines. When I go there, I'm welcomed with open arms. And when I'm leaving, we're all bummed out because I miss my brothers and sisters over there. We all have different pieces of the pie. We all have different pieces of Professor's art, which means we need to work together to make sure we don't lose any more than we already have. But I am proud of my accomplishments, and I refuse to disrespect my master and turn my back on what his endorsement of me was. If others feel that that's what they want to do, I am not going to stop them. But I am going to carry on Professor's art as far as I can, and hopefully for generations after us, our students will do the same. So, Datu, who are they? As I said before, Shashir, Kelly, Bong, David, Dieter, and Tim. How'd they get them? By showing leadership attributes to our late teacher, Remy Amador Praces. What does it mean, Datu? As far as I can tell, leader or chief of a tribe. Self-appointed? No, we already discussed the group that does that. That's not us. So, what if you still have a problem? Come talk to us, one-on-one. I have an open door policy. Come on in, let's train, let's talk, let's share experiences. If it comes down that it's going to take rattan therapy to clear shit up, then that's, I guess, what we have to do. That's not what I'm about. I would rather meet more of my family, the Filipino martial art family, my brothers and sisters out there. We are all united in Filipino martial arts to promote this. Why do we have to tear each other down? I have no clue. We are stronger together than on our own. Now, that's my soapbox moment. Like I said, I am Datu Tim. I refuse to disrespect my teacher. I assume and have trust that he knew what he was doing. I don't shove it in people's faces. And if you know me, off the mats, I'm usually telling people to call me Tim. When I'm teaching in a professional environment, that's another story. But, and of course, since this is Datu's Corner and it's my brand, I do promote it. So, this is Tim Hartman, the last promoted to Datu by the late Grandmaster Remy Amador Praces, saying, I'm hoping to see you all soon in person. Stay strong during this pandemic. I miss training with my brothers and sisters. And I look forward to seeing you all soon in person sometime. Tim Hartman signing out on Datu's Corner.